how do we establish this rapport, this unshakable bond with the satpurush? The satpurush jem kahe tem kare. The satpurush jem samje em samaju. Satpurush જે રીતે પોતાનો દેહ ભક્તિમાં વાળે છે એવી રીતે આપણે ભક્તિની અંદર આપણો દેહ વાળવો. We have the Satpurush who is constantly thinking of our happiness and our bliss. Then what comes next? What are we supposed to do? તો દિન કહે તો દિન, તો રાત કહે તો રાત. મનની ગાંઠો મેલી હવે તારા ચાંદે ચાંદ. That the Satpurush, he should be the center point of our lives. And having a relationship with him, a strong bond, an affiliation, full of love, full of affection, full of surrenderance, being very obedient to him, following him in every which way he wants. That's our life, and we should strive towards making that a perfect life. What the Satpurush has in his heart for us. Vande Shri Purushottamam cha paramam dhamaksharam gnanadam. Vande pragaji bhaktameva managam brahmaswarupam muda. Vande agna purushadasa charanam Shri yogirajam tatha. Vande Shri Pramukham Mahanta Guninam Mokshaya Bhaktya Sada Gunatitoksharam Brahma Bhagavan Purushottamah Jano Jananidam Satyam Muchyate Bhavabandhanat. Shri Swaminarayan Bhagavanani Jai. Akshar Purushottam Maharajani Jai. Gunatitananda Swami Maharajani Jai. Bhagat Ji Maharajani Jai. Shastri Ji Maharajani Jai. Yogi Ji Maharajani Jai. Guru Hari Pramukh Swami Maharajani Jai. Guru Hari Mahant Swami Maharajani Jai. In 1985, after the Suvarna Tula in London, a video of the Suvarna Tula was released, and a Hari Bhakta of ours, Hirabai Patel, who lives in Shirley, currently now he lives in Houston, America. But at that time, he was watching the Suvarna Tula video, and a friend of his from India, Mr. C.K. Pitawala, a great industrialist who himself was engaged in constructions of power plants, and C.K. Pitawala, an educationalist, a person who then thereafter became a great philanthropist as well. So he had come to visit his friend Hirabai at his house, and once he was sitting on the sofa in the lounge and this video was going on, at that time, Param Pujya Pramukh Swami Maharaj's Ashirwad during Suvarna Tula came onto the screen, where Pramukh Swami Maharaj, with utmost humility and with his highest form of devotion that we've all experienced, Swami Shri said two lines which, turned the life of C.K. Pitawala. Firstly, Swami Shri said that I would like to thank Bhagavan Swaminarayan for giving me this body. And then he goes on to say that I'd like to thank Shastriji Maharaj and Yogiji Maharaj, both of those who accepted me. And through this satsang, they've allowed me to do the seva. And today it's because of them that I stand in front of you. So C.K. Pitawala, he heard these Ashirwads. And it's the first time that he's seeing Pramukh Swami Maharaj, because he himself is very profoundly attached to Mahatma Gandhi, and he follows the teachings and the values taught by Mahatma Gandhi. But when he saw Pramukh Sai Maharaj hearing these very humble words and the surrenderance that Bapa has towards Maharaj and to the Gurus, C.K. Pitawala from within felt that he's never seen such a person in his life. He was taken aback by the sheer humility, the bhakti, the devotion towards Maharaj, towards Shasimaj and Yogiji Maharaj, oozing from Pramukh Swami Maharaj's every word. And that was the turning point of C.K. Pitawala's life, who then became a satsangi, not just an ordinary satsangi, but a very, very firm satsang follower. He became a karyakar, and he started doing works like Pramukh Swami Maharaj, that he started to erect schools, colleges, and centers for the aged. And today, in Dumas, which is exactly where he used to live, though he passed away in 2015, but from 1985 onwards, he constructed many schools, many colleges, universities, and also very many mandirs. And he's also given us 50 acres of land in Surat for a school that we can build. So you can just see that one prasang of Pramukh Sai Maharaj can transform the heart, the whole perception, and the whole goal of life to start doing good. Because Pramukh Sai Maharaj, he lived by the motto, in the joy of others lies our own. And hence, he could also imbibe those teachings of Bapa. So, one prasang, if listened very attentively during this Kathavarta sessions in Shravan Maino, it can have a very deep impact on our personal lives. And that is the reason why we must also understand that it's very important for us to know why we are in this beautiful satsang. It's a satsang which only the fortunate can tread and embrace, and we are the lucky ones who have this opportunity. And I'd like to share a personal prasang which happened on the 29th of June 1988 in Wilfred, Boston, USA. So we were traveling with Bapa on that Dharma Yatra, which was one of the longest, 10.5 months. And there were santos that were also conducting Padramnis. So we were doing our Padramnis, and then a few days later, we would then reunite with Bapa. And it had been 10 days that we had been away from Bapa, and we got to Boston, and it was so heartwarming to be with him. And there were certain things in my mind that were going on, and then I revealed them to Yogicharan Swami, a great friend of mine, very trustworthy, and I could always speak my heart to him. And I told him that, look, it's very hard for us to stay away from Bapa, and 1 or 2 days it's fine, but when it's 10 days continuous, it's very, very hard. And I said it to him in confidence that he wouldn't relay it to anybody. But that afternoon, when Bapa was sleeping at 1:30, Yogicharan Swami, whilst we were massaging Swami Shri's legs, Yogicharan Swami said to Bapa, "Ke Bapa, aaj Shukdev ji dukhi thai gaya che." So hearing this, Swami, all of a sudden he asked me, Swami goes, "What's happened?" So I said, "Bapa, Yogicharan Swami khotu bole che," to try and deflect the whole point that was being spoken about. But Bapa, he that time then said, that Yogi will never say a lie. Yogi Charan koi dis khotu na bole. Shu thayu. So what I had said in 20 minutes to Yogi Charan Swami, I said in 20 seconds to Bapa, that Bapa, this is how I'm feeling. Sometimes you feel lonely, sometimes you feel isolated, you feel away, you feel very far. And then Swami Shri said this very wonderful reply to me. Swami Shri said, કે તમે બધા અમારા થયા છો, that you have all become mine. અમે જે મહારાજનું સુખ ભોગવીએ છે, એ સુખ તમને આપવું છે. You have all become mine, and the bliss of Maharaj that I enjoy today is what I want to give you. And hence, you have to do this vichran. Hence, you have to dedicate time towards satsang. So, from this alone, you realize that the satpurush has a very selfless motive, a very selfless wish for us, that we can also enjoy the bliss of Maharaj, the happiness of Shiji Maharaj, constantly. It's not about after death, it's during our life that we can always be very, very happy. So, what then is important for us is to understand that what the Satpurush has in his heart for us, we should accept. He wants to make us happy, which exactly is the end goal for any person on this earth. Even those conducting all these tapavrats and doing these pilgrimages of India, sometimes when you listen to them, you just feel so taken aback that it's impossible to do. But yet they do them for propitiating God. And here, Pramukh Sai Maharaj is saying that I will give you that bliss, but do as I say. So that prasang in itself tells us that we have the Satpurush who is constantly thinking of our happiness and our bliss. Then what comes next? What are we supposed to do? Again, another prasang happened in America at that same time, the 29th of July, 1988, in Cleveland. It was the day of Guru Purnima, and Swamiji had already blessed us in the morning when he woke up at 6 o'clock. So about 10:15 in the morning, Swamiji had just taken his second bath and he was wearing his dhoti. I was standing there with the bowl and the loto, that once he finishes wearing his dhoti, he can wash his hands there and then and wipe them dry on the hand towel. And I was doing darshan. Swami looked at me. Swami asked me again, Swami ke tane Ashwad madi gaya Guru Purnima? So I said, yes, Bapa, we've had the opportunity 3 times. So he goes, take blessings again. So he gave me a 4th Ashwad then. And then he sat down on the sofa. He didn't have his gatari on. And once he sat down, he asked for his letters. So I passed on the letter pad, the reading glasses, and the pen. And Swami, he sat with all comfort, right, very relaxed, and he started to write away. 10-15 minutes, I was sitting across by the wall doing Bapa's darshan, and, he removes his glasses, he looks at me, and he asks me again. I'm so surprised with what he asks. Swami asks again, Swami Ketana, Ashadapya Guru Purnimana. So I said laughingly, I said, Bapa, 4 times, yes. I mean, this is out of expectation. I would never dream I'd get this. Swami goes, come here again. I'll give you Ashirvad for Guru Purnam. It's a great day. It's an auspicious day. And he was so happy for some reason, unknowingly to us. But there was something that he really wanted to say. And that's when, after he started blessing me, he said one line which has become, I think, the motto of my life and the striving towards pleasing him. Swami Shri said in Gujarati, ke tu yaad rakhje ke kalyan na margni andar hu ane tu bej jana chiye. That remember one thing, on this path of kalyan, it's between you and me. There is nobody else. So this is exactly what we need to understand, that the Satpurush, he should be the center point of our lives. And having a relationship with him, a strong bond, an affiliation, full of love, full of affection, full of surrenderance, being very obedient to him, following him in every which way he wants. That's our life, and we should strive towards making that a perfect life. Again, think of the words, ponder over them. कि कल्याणना मार्गनी अंदर हूँ अने तू बेज जना छे. That on this path of liberation, of this kalyan, it's only between us two, you and me. So the Guru-Shishya relationship, the bond that a devotee needs to establish with the Guru, that is the key of this satsang. And if you look at Hindu dharma, even Shukdevji was a Guru, and Parikshit was his Shishya, his devotee. In the time when Parikshit was feeling very frustrated, anxious, hopeless, and lost, and he was fearing death, he went to his Guru, and his Guru then made him fearless. If you look in the Mahabharata, Arjun, a great warrior, for whom Shiv Bhagwan had said that in the 3 worlds there is no archer like Arjun, and he can never be defeated. But on the battlefield of the Mahabharata, it is that time that Arjun he sees his kin and kith, his relations, his gurus, and at that time he feels absolutely hopeless, very weak, and he then resorts to giving up this fight. It's Krishna Bhagavan, his guru, who then encourages him, motivates him. He instills the right understanding that here you are to fight for dharma. So you can see that even in Hindu dharma, there is a need for a guru, and there's a need for a relationship which needs to be very, very genuine, which needs to be very, very honest between the guru and the shishya. So it's not just about Hindu dharma. All religions of the world, they speak very highly and deeply about this relationship that a shishya, a devotee, he must establish with the guru, which is unshakable, unbreakable. And that is the most important part of our satsang understanding. That how are we attached to Pramukh Sai Maharaj and Mahan Sai Maharaj? That deep relationship, that bond, it should be getting deeper and deeper and stronger by the second every day. And we must then be very careful, be aware, and make this the center of our every single thought, our striving towards happiness, bliss, and success. So the question then comes is that how do we establish this rapport, this unshakable bond with the satpurush? In the year 1986, Pramukh Sai Maharaj, he was in Ahmedabad, and he was very casually sitting in his room. There were a few santos who were sitting around him, and there was a question-answer session going on, and a question by Pujya Aksharotsal Swami was asked to Pramukh Sai Maharaj that, Bapa, how can we establish this oneness with you? He used the word in Gujarati, which is also in the Vachnamrut, Jetapur number 1. He used the word apopu panu. So he asked Bapa ke Bapa tamari sate apopu panu kevi rite thai. So apopu panu is a word which is also equivalent to the word atma buddhi. It's also another equivalent to the word dhrad priti. So we've heard these words in satsang connotations that we must establish dhrad priti, we must establish jodan, we must establish atma buddhi with the satpurush. So Aksharotsal Swami's question was that, Swami Shri, how can we establish this oneness, this deep, unbreakable, firm love towards you? Pramukh Swami Maharaj, he replied in Gujarati. Swami Shri said 3 things. Swami Shri said, 1, कि satpurush jem kahe tem kare. Whatever the satpurush says, you do. Secondly, Swami Shri said, कि satpurush jem samje em samaju. That you must develop an understanding in satsang that is like the understanding that the satpurush has. And the third, Swami Shri said, કે સત્પુરુષ જે રીતે પોતાનો દેહ ભક્તિમાં વાળે છે એવી રીતે આપણે ભક્તિની અંદર આપણો દેહ વાળવો. What did he say? Swami Shri said that just as the Satpurush engages himself physically, mentally, and spiritually into bhakti, in the same manner we should engage ourselves fully into the devotion of God, into the devotion of the Satpurush. So 3 things. Firstly, Jem kahem kare, to do as he says. Jem samje em samajvo, to have an understanding like his. And thirdly, to engage in bhakti in the manner that he engages in. Ke e je rite de bhakti ma vade che, evi rite apne pan apno de bhakti ma vadvo. So today we will start with the first, which says, ke Satpurush jem kahe tem kare. To do as the Satpurush says. We've heard this very often in satsang, that we must have this firm faith, absolute trust in every word that the Satpurush, he relays to us. Now that word could be directly to you and me. It could have been a word that he has said before, he's expressed in a different context to somebody else at a different time, at a different place. But when you ponder over this line, this reply that Bapa gave, Jem kahe tem kare, is to do as he says. It talks about absolute trust, absolute faith in his every word. We're all reminded very often, and some of you must have gone through in your readings of Shastriji Maharaj's book during the Satsang exams, where the construction of Sarangpur Mandir is going on. And after the Pratishta, the construction still continues. Shastri Maharaj on his travels, he comes to Sarangpur, and that's the time when the completion of the dome is happening. And the last huge stone is to be placed at the center. Now, this stone weighed 3 tons. 3 tons. And they were lifting this whole stone, a heavy stone, hoisting it with ropes. And in those times, we didn't have cranes, and it was a very simple pulley system. But hoisting this stone right to the top, and all of you know that Sarangpur Mandir is not a small mandir, it's over 100 feet high. And when you're placing that huge, heavy stone, it requires a lot of strength. And the workers there, they tied this whole heavy stone with 7 ropes, and they were hoisting it very gently, chanting Swaminarayan, Swaminarayan as they pulled each time. And there came a time when it was midway in the air, and from the 7 ropes, the 6 ropes, they snap one by one. Now, this is very, very dangerous. And everybody moved away. Everybody was shocked. They were so scared, what's going to happen next? And then somebody ran, called Shastriji Maharaj. And Shastri Maharaj came, and he very casually instructed Soma Bhagat that Soma Bhagat, climb up, tie the 6 ropes back again, and then hoist the stone back to the position it needs to be in. Now, just think about this, that 7 ropes could not hold 3 tons, 6 snapped. And Soma Bhagat wasn't a featherweight, he was a heavyweight. And him climbing onto this stone that would add more weight, the chances of even the 7th rope breaking were there anyway. Additional weight, definitely it'll come crashing down. People stopped Soma Bhagat, but Soma Bhagat, he had faith in Shastri Maharaj's words, and he went up. He jumped onto the stone, and he used his efficiency and his skill. He tied back the 6 ropes, and then he came down, and the stone was lifted into the place it was meant to be put. Put yourselves in this position. I would definitely refrain from observing this agna of Shastri Maharaj, because to us, our lives matter. And you know that logically this is impossible. That why would somebody want to, be in a suicidal position? Why would somebody want to take the risk? But Soma Bhagat, he had firm faith in the Guru. Jem kahe tem kare. At that time, you don't run your logic. You don't run any of your thinking. You don't use your mind. That is the crux of this sentence that Bapa is giving to us. Jem kahe tem kare. You may think, Swami, this drashtant of Soma Bhagat is outdated. And Shastriji Maharaj was there, chalo, he was standing looking, and he may have used his miracles to do this. He may have, but he had the faith is what counts. But look at our Haribhaktas today. I know a Haribhakta in London, Amrish Bhai Patel. We both grew up together in Balmandir, and unfortunately he couldn't become a sadhu, and I became a sadhu. He then continued in 1981 his studies. He was coming to the end of his A-level, so he had to apply for university. His parents, they asked Bapa that, Bapa, what should he study further? And Swamiji said that he should study architecture. Now, in the family, everybody were in the field of science. So doctors, pharmacists, etc., etc. And so everybody had this passion. And in those days, that aapne doctorate banai, athwa engineer banai. That was the passion of everybody. Even your grandmother would tell you, na beta aapne doctor thavu she. So everybody convinced him, he goes, no, look, Bapa is saying what he wants to say, but you do what we have to have as a future, and you have to make us proud. So he then went into pharmacy school in Sunderland. Come the end of the first year, he was totally unhappy. He just didn't set into this whole system of studying pharmacy. So he chose to ask Bapa again that if he can do another field of science. And Swami Shri, he tells him, okay, no, you do architecture. And against his own will, against the will of his parents, Swami insisted a third time કે તું આર્કિટેક્ચર ભણ કારણ કે ભવિષ્યમાં મોટી સેવા લેવી છે. That you study architecture because in the future I want to give you a greater seva. Little did he know, but Amrish, he fought against his mind every day, keeping Bapa's words prime. And then he went into architecture school. 5 years later, he qualified. He was picked up by a very, very prestigious company, Norman Foster Partnership, which even today in England and around the world is very renowned, very famous. And he became an architecture in that company. He was there for 6 months. And come the year 1990, Pramukh Sai Maharaj says that now we're embarking on the project of building the Shikhar Mandir in London. So leave your job and come into this seva. 1990 to 1995, Amrish, he was the main architect for the London Mandir. Little do we know, but the Satpurush knows. And that is why it's very, very important that we adhere to his words. At times we may fail. You take that part, you take towards Bapa's words, and you may not succeed. But look at Sirish Bhai Patel. He is a chartered accountant in Ahmedabad, leading a very, very prestigious agency firm in Ahmedabad. But Sirish Bhai, he was a very, very mediocre student. And his father had asked Bapa, he was there as well. And Swami Shri had said that, don't worry, you're passing at 45, 50, it's fine. But in the future, you'll become a great chartered accountant. Now, to him, it was like out of this world. It could never happen. Even if he dreamt it, it was never going to be. Because he was not even going beyond 50, 55%. Even in his 12th exam, he was at 52%. And Swami said, no, you do commerce, do accountancy, and we want to make you a great chartered accountant. You won't believe he failed 10 times. 10 times in his chartered accountancy exams. But every time Swami would motivate him, Swami would say, Apre chartered accountant banu che. Today, he's got a leading practice in Ahmedabad. So even in our career paths, the Satpurush, he chooses, he tells us. And yes, you may once follow that, come across some failures, you may come across hardships, you may come across frustrations. But always keep to what he says. Trust him. The key thing is to trust him because he's the Satpurush. He can see billions of years in the past and the future. He knows my and your present too. And hence he tells us that these are the things that we should do in our lives. And even in the mode of Niyam Dharmas, Pramukh Sai Maharaj is always, and Mahan Sai currently, he tells us as youngsters that always be aware of kusang. Even your friends, they can be bad influence upon you. Even in satsang, you will come across people who may be of bad influence to you. We have a sadhu now, Param Setu Swami, but in 2007, he came for the Jacksonville National Convention. He came with us from England to attend. And like, the rest of the Kishores and the other Karyakars, he was a Kishore Karyakar in London too. And he was introduced to Karyakars here in the US. And in Jacksonville, after the Shivir, we came back to Atlanta. And for a few days, he traveled with us. And then he was going to travel with Bapa. And then he was in Atlanta when Swami Shri was here. And during the Pratishta. And some of those Karyakars must have gone out to Taco Bell and, to have some snacks. And Hari, he had been given a niyam by Bapa in 2004 that you mustn't eat outside. And he had very strongly adhered to this niyam ever since 2004. And they had gone there, they'd taken him there, and they had said to him, "Ke apne Thakur bin tyaji ye che." So they used this mode of humor to trick him. And he thought he's going to a Hari Bhakta's house to have the snacks. But eventually they turned up at Taco Bell and he just sat in the car. He resisted all pressure. And, they said, no, don't worry. You've come. You should enjoy. You should be with us. He was fighting his mind. There was a time when his mind was saying, look, then I'll confess to Bapa. I'll tell him I did this knowingly. But he then put his foot down and he said, there's no chance I'm going to do this. So he fought against that pressure. He overcame that. And when he came back to England, he told us. And then during Bapa Shatabdi Mahotsav, he wrote a letter to Bapa in which he told Bapa that, Swami, look, through your blessings and grace alone, that I've been very firm in this niyam ever since, and this had happened. And Swami wrote a beautiful letter to him in which Swami Shri expressed his joy upon his strength of resisting this peer pressure, this force of eating out when he had a niyam. So we can, if we so desire. There are times we have to battle against our minds. We really have to be very firm and strong upon our own selves and not leading to any compromise. If we are strong, then God, He helps us through. That's a guarantee. But it has to be up to you. There's a prasang which I'd like to share, which we came across whilst we were in England. And now she's a Yuvati. Her brother-in-law has sent this to me, Roshni Surubai Patel, and she's become a chartered financial officer for Karakuri, which is an international company. She's aged 32, and when she was 14 and 16 years old, she went on a prestigious Duke of Edinburgh award program, which is very, very prestigious in England, and to the mountain ranges of South Wales. So she writes, during my age of 14 and 16, I was taking part in the Duke of Edinburgh programs. The Duke of Edinburgh Awards is a youth award program founded in the United Kingdom in 1956 by Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, that has since expanded to 144 nations around the world. It involved a 3-day and a 5-day camping expedition to the Brecon Beacons in South Wales, United Kingdom. There were no shower facilities at these places where we stayed, as we had to camp in tents on the foothills or on the slopes of the mountains. So in order to be clean and to do my daily puja, I would use a lake or a nearby river where the waters were always cold to clean myself. It was an invigorating feeling, which not only enabled me to do my puja daily, but it also set me up for the track the day ahead. I knew that Bapa would never compromise in such situations. And in these circumstances, why should I? If he were to be happy on me and bless me, then I should live according to his wishes and his likings. That was my firm resolve and determination to follow his agna and the niyams of Maharaj. So you can see that however young you may be, in the most adverse circumstances you may come across, but if you have a firm resolve, you will never succumb to compromising. And that is why such people, they earn the Rajipo of God and his beloved sadhu. So Maharaj, Bapa, they will look after you. Again, a jim kahe im kare, have trust, have firm faith, believe in his words. He is never going to lead you or me astray. Even Maharaj has said in the Vachanant, of what benefit is it to me if I take you astray? There is no gain that they look for in taking us astray. They want to give us the highest bliss of Bhagavan Swaminarayan, of Pramukh Swami Maharaj, and currently of Mahan Swami. So we should strive for that. And if we strive for that, Maharaj and Swami avashyapane raji thai che. And I'm reminded of one more prasang of which I took some details. It's Shravan Maino. And here in America, we have a Yuvati, and now she's a naturopathic doctor practicing in Los Angeles. And her husband, Satyam Bhai Mehta, has sent this detailed account of Angelina is her name, and she was only 22 years old in the year 2006 and a sergeant in the US Marine Corps when she was deployed to the Iraq War. And she writes, Shravan Maino came around whilst I was deployed to Iraq from March to September 2006. Living on a compound in the middle of the city of Fallujah, there were very little limited foods to eat that were without onion and garlic. I lived basically on vitamin tablets and junk food. The temperatures would reach up to 135 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 56 degrees centigrade. And if we went outside, we would have to put on about 80 pounds of protective gear, uniforms, and loaded weapons. It was easy to get dehydrated, let alone the high risks of snipers and bombs going off everywhere. With as much activity as we had going on, it was difficult to face my first Shravan Meno while in combat. It was easy to come up with excuses, but remembering how important Pramukh Swami Maharaj is and following his agna is, for me, was at the center of my mind. There is no obstacle that Swami Shri would let me fall behind if I kept his word. So I did a month of Ektana. The Ekadashi days that came during that month were not fun at all. I had a niyam of doing Ekadashi Nijara Upas for years, with such limited options of food and drink. Even on a normal day of Ektana, there were thoughts of how Maharaj and Swami are dayaru, very compassionate, and would understand if I didn't do it. I would convince my mind that it's okay. But I also knew it was my mind playing games with me. The daily Vachnamrut and Swamini Vata reading whilst I was there helped keep this thought at the forefront of my mind. My favorite was કેટલાકને મન રમાડે છે ને કેટલાક મનને રમાડે છે. આ વાત નિત્ય વિચારવા જેવી છે. I just wanted to please Baba, that's it. The most amazing part of this experience for me is that as life goes on as a grahastha, it is so easy to give into the difficulties surrounding my various niyams. Family, friends, peers, in-laws, etc. can cause havoc at times. But having stood firm in Niyam Dharma in the most difficult situations and seeing how that caused my colleagues and even supervising officers to approve with admiration, there is no way I would like my faltering of following agnas or niyams to be due to something trivial. I want the admiration of Baba, and that's it. For me, it's that matters above all. Through these niyams, I have not only solidified my identity with Swami Shri and currently with Mahant Swami Maharaj, but it has also allowed me to progress professionally and obtain timely promotions because of their trust and faith in me. So you see, we as Kishores, Kishoris, Yuvaks, Yuvatis, if we are firm and we are very genuine and honest to Maharaj, Pramukh Swami Maharaj and Mahant Swami Maharaj, they will help us through. They are there to help us. They want us to be happy. But it's up to us. What path do we want to take? Jim kahe, tim kare. Have firm faith, have firm belief, follow their every agna, follow the niyams, and be very, very firm. In any difficulties, keep on striving. Do not give up. Yes, you have to put aside your mind. And that is why we very often are very happy in listening to the words of Din kahe to din, tu raat kahe to raat. But we must also understand the story behind that. So that's the story which I'd like to end with. Pujya Gnaneshwar Swami, he was very, very resolute that he wanted to study Sanskrit and serve this satsang. So when he became a sadhu, he was a very bright student from MS University, Baroda. And, he always had this satsang passion that he wanted to serve Bapa and the satsang. And he wanted to study Sanskrit. And he had made a firm, resolution to himself that I will study the highest grade of Sanskrit and serve satsang. But there came a time when Pramukh Swami Maharaj, he wanted to involve the sadhus and start up the training center in Sarangpur for sadhaks and for sadhus. And there came a time that Bapa then approached Acharya Swami And Acharya Swami started looking around for the suitable sadhus. And he gave a few sadhus, what Bapa wanted in his mind. And he talked to to Gnaneshwar Swami. Gnaneshwar Swami just was so reluctant, and he said a blank no to him. That no chance. I have other goals, ambitions, and I'm not going to take this seva. Acharya Swami then met Bapa. Bapa asked him, have you found anybody? He said, Swami, there are potentials, but, Gnaneshwar Swami is saying no. Swami goes, leave it to me. Once when Pramukh Sai came to Sarangpur, he called all these different santos. In them, he called Gnaneshwar Swami. Gnaneshwar Swami came, and Bapa expressed his wish that he wanted to appoint Gnaneshwar Swami and Narayan Muni Swami as the two leading santos for the training center for the sadhus. It was at that time that Gnaneshwar Swami could not say a word. Out of respect, fine, but more so, he knew that it was Bapa's wish. And so he said, Bapa, as you wish. Took his blessings. Bapa was absolutely happy. Gnaneshwar Swami exited the room. He went to the terrace, and that's where he wrote this bhajan. Tu din kahe to din, tu raat kahe to raat, manani gaatho meli have tara chande chand. That Swami, whatever you say, if it's day and you say it's the night, I will believe it to be the night. If it's the night and you say it's the day, I will believe the night to be day. I have now crushed everything from my mind and solely resolved that whatever you say is what I will do. So a beautiful teaching from this prasang and this bhajan. So we must live our lives like din kahe to din, tu raat kahe to raat. Manani gaatho meli have bas tara chande chand. I want to live as you say, as you want, as you wish, as you like. And that is the reason why Jem Kahe Tim Kare becomes a central theme of our lives. Shri Swaminarayan Bhagavanani Jai.
Thank you for joining us today and listening with such devotion. Bhagavan Swaminarayan has taught us the power of listening to Katha. It purifies our mind and brings us closer to God. So if this Katha helped you, give it a like, subscribe for more, and share it with someone you care about. Until next time, Jai Swaminarayan.